What can we do to reverse some of these signs of aging? And I'm going to go over a very powerful framework of the 5 R's of rejuvenation that, when used sometimes in isolation of one another or in combination with one another, can have dramatic impact on reversing the signs of aging. So what are these 5 R's? One is relaxation of muscles, replenishing volume loss in our face associated with aging or weight loss. The third is restoring tissue and skin quality. The fourth is repositioning of our tissues. And the fifth is reducing volume in areas where there's heaviness in the face. And each of these can, in their own way, make a very powerful contribution to softening or reversing the signs of aging. We're going to go through these in more detail.
I know I may look a little different now. Still me. I had a makeover. I know why people come in. The first R is relaxation of muscles, and you've probably heard of procedures like Botox, Dysport, Zoom, and Indaxify. And basically what these procedures do, and they're very powerful, is they relax muscles, but there are a couple of reasons, at least a couple of reasons why we want to do this. The first is we can reduce expressions that we want to mute. And so usually these kinds of expressions are ones that have a more negative valence to them. So for example, we may want to reduce how strong our frown line is when we're angry, or if our face just tends to be a little bit more sad even when we're not sad. For example, the corners of the mouth coming down, we can do that with these treatments. The second is that we can elevate things that start to go down as we age. So as we're aging, our eyebrows start to come down a little bit. The corners of our mouth start to come down. And so actually with Botox, because we relax those muscles that pull down, the face comes up. And then there are actually some treatments that we can do with these products that aren't related to expression, but are more related to contour. And so we can slim the face with our masseter injections. And as well, if there are muscle overactivity that causes problems, functional problems, like headaches or too much tension in the shoulders, we can actually use these products for that as well.
Replenishing volume loss associated with aging or weight changes can have a profound effect. Often when we have shadows in our face, we tend to look older, whether it's the shadows around the smile lines, the under eye area, more of a deflated cheek, temples, maybe the shadows that are a little bit too prominent that makes us look a little bit more gaunt or sunken. These are all things that contribute to a more aged appearance. So we can replenish this by reversing some of this volume loss with things like dermal fillers, such as our Juvederm, Restylane group of fillers, things like Versa, RHA. These are all examples of FDA-approved dermal fillers that are non-surgically placed into the soft tissue to help replenish some of the lost volume. We also have things like Sculptra and Radiesse, which is a special category of biostimulators that not only add volume, but can also help restore some of the tissue and skin quality, which we'll discuss separately. Having said that, you can also choose a surgical option where we borrow fat from one part of the body, such as your abdomen, and then now we're sprinkling that into areas where we've lost volume as well, and that can have a profound effect. So depending on whether you're moving more surgical or non-surgical to achieve some of these goals, those are things that we can discuss with you in more detail. So replenishing lost volume, a very powerful tool to reverse some of the signs of aging.
Our third R is called restoration of the skin. And as a dermatologist, I feel this is very important. And so if you look at the skin of like a baby's cheek, you'll notice that the color is very uniform. The skin has firmness. It's also elastic and smooth. And as we age, what happens is that the skin loses its thickness. It loses that uniformity of color. So we start to see blotchiness, either in the category of browns or red blotchiness, or both. The skin starts to get some etched in lines as well. And so unfortunately, we do not have one treatment that can address all of those issues. We have treatments that address issues specifically. So we have color correction treatments. We have treatments that help to tighten the skin, treatments that help to resurface the skin. So that's why sometimes a consultation can be so important, because we need to look and evaluate your skin and see where the most bang for the treatment is. The combination of restoring volume and treating the surface of the skin is synergistic, and that's how we get the most natural results when we combine.
So reducing volume in the face or neck region may not be for everybody, but for those that it applies to, it can be a very powerful way to help reshape the face. So for example, as we get older, often the jowl region actually becomes more prominent. Sometimes even the nasolabial fold fat pad here becomes more prominent, leading to a deepening of the crease or shadow that we see here. The submental area or the double chin area can also get thicker and fuller and start to cause a heaviness and weighing down of the face. So reducing certain areas more strategically can have a very powerful effect on reshaping the face, reducing the heavy burden that this extra weight has, and allowing the muscles that lift and support our face to be more impactful. Surgically, we can do that with things like AccuTite, FaceTite, liposuction. Non-surgically, we're doing it with things like Kybella to dissolve fat, Cool Sculpting to freeze the fat, or some of our energy devices to target some of that fatty tissue layer. So reducing can be a very powerful adjunct to our strategy of creating a more youthful or more aesthetic shape in our face and neck. Repositioning the tissue can be a very, very powerful way to create a more youthful appearance, and can even reverse the signs of aging by years or maybe even upwards of a decade. So if you're in the mirror and you're using your fingers to try to reposition the tissue and say, I look much younger when I do that, or you're doing the same in the neck area, then that's where perhaps a surgical repositioning can be very powerful. That would include things like a facelift, neck lift procedure to reposition that tissue. If we're needing more of a modest degree of change, or we're just wanting a more less invasive option, that's where things like thread lifts can be very powerful as well. And some of our minimally invasive procedures kind of straddle in between those two options as well. So depending on the degree of repositioning, the level of invasiveness is something that we might consider and discuss in more detail. Other areas that we reposition quite commonly are areas like the lip, which starts to disappear into the mouth as we get older. A lip lift will help to create more lip show. We can reposition the eyelid skins to a more youthful position. We can even reduce some of the excess skin. Same can happen for the brow or the forehead or the cheeks. So all of these different areas are things that repositioning can have a very powerful tool that we can use to help reverse the signs of aging. And again, this can be done surgically or non-surgically.